Hi, so this is the completed version of what's his name? Blastoff from the Combaticons. And so what we're doing is I'm going to ungroup this because right now it's grouped, but I'm going to ungroup it. And the reason why I'm going to ungroup it is because I'm going to take this shape, I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to take this shape and I'm going to move a copy of it over here. And then I'm going to take this shape, which is the sidearm, and I'm going to move a copy of, no, not that shape, but this shape, and I'm going to move a copy of it right here. And so I'm going to take all those shapes, I'm going to move them up here for a little bit, then I'm going to take the legs, and I'm going to move them a little. I'm going to move a copy of it. I'm going to move a version of them. So I'm going to delete this, because I don't need that. I actually don't necessarily need this as well. And this is going to be my prototype for the next robot. That way I have all the dimensions and everything set up. Why do I do this? Is because they all need to align to the other robot. So this gives me an exact dimension of what the head looks like. I can play around with this head. I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. I can't make it bigger, I can't make it smaller. But I can play around within the dimensions of this head. This also gives me a just approximation of what this body looks like. I can change the color, I can do different things with it. But it gives me, and same with this, these are the ground roots for making the other robot. So we are going to start making the other robot. So let's go here. So first let's start off with the head. We're going to build a brand new head, and it's going to be to the same dimensions. It's going to be, there we go. And then we're going to move that square off to the side. We don't need this anymore because we already have the dimensions that we need. So we've got the little head going on right there. I didn't want it exactly how the other one was. Then we've got this, we can delete that. We got this, we can delete this. We can delete all these little schmitchamajobs. Just made up a word. And then we can take this and then we can align them together like so. So that way it looks a little bit more interesting. Then we can move that a little bit over there. We can play around with this shape, but this kind of gives us the length from here to here as to how long this particular robot will be. So then now we ask ourselves, well, what robot are we going to do? Well, let's go ahead and look at Blastoff Transformers. Let's see who is here. So let's see, we've got let's do Vortex. How about Vortex? Let's do Vortex. So we're going to go ahead and do the helicopter of Vortex. So let's look up for some more images of Vortex. Let's go here, Vortex. We're going to see what we can come up with. And this is a pretty good image of Vortex that I like. He's got that sand color, he's got that light blue color right in there. He's got the the rudders right here. So, how are we going to make a helicopter? That becomes an interesting question. How are we going to make, a helicopter, seriously? So, we are going to throw in a rudder. Not the rudder, but the little things. So first what you want to do is you want to make a square, and then you want to pull this in like this with the white arrow tool, and then you want to pull this in like so. So there you have one blade. Then you make another one, then you make another one, then you make another one. So now how do you align them perfectly? If you go to the black arrow tool, how do you align them perfectly so that way they can be, there we go. You've got that. And then oh, this one's already okay. And then you go here. And then you flip them around so that way you have your rudder. Or, I forget what it's called, your blades, I guess they're called. And then in order to align them, you want to align these two to the top. Then what you can do is you can align these two to the side. Then you can align these two to the top. and then you can align these two to the side. So it's still a little janky and weird. So what are we going to do in order to make it a little bit more unilateral? Is we're going to create a square, and then we're going to flip this square into a diamond, and then we're going to put that right smack in the middle, somewhere in the middle. There we go. So there we go. We have our blade that we're going to put on there. And then the question becomes, how are we going to add that on? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little slit right here. And this is going to slip into the middle of the transformer. So now what we want to do is we're thinking helicopter. So we're thinking we want to build the helicopter. So what we want to do is we want to first build that little thing that the helicopter lands on. Then we want to build another box. And this is not necessarily the color that we're going with, but it seems similar to the one that Vortex has. So Vortex has, I believe, is a little blue. So we're building that, and we're building this right here. So there we go. We've got that. Now the question becomes, Vortex also, you can make him like Blast Off, which is that smooth little area, or, which is something that I prefer, we're going to use the Polygon Tool. And actually, here's another tool. We're going to use Polygon Tool, double click, and it gives you the option to be able to, how many sides do you want? So we're going to go for 8 sides, and there we go. We've got that going on right there. Now we're going to cut this into a shape, and we're going to cut it right at the angles right there. I'm going to select everything with the black arrow tool. We're going to pick the shape builder tool, click on both of those. Then we're going to, and then I have selected that piece in order to cut it. Voila! So here we go. Now this is going on top, and then I'm going to object arrange center back, so that way I can see it and I can know what I'm working with. So I'm going to stretch it a little bit over here. I'm going to stretch it right here. And I'm going to stretch that right there. So we kind of have a similar shape as to what we want. So now we're building rudimentary elements right now for the particular piece. Now the question becomes, where is this little rudder going to go? And is it going to spin? Now it's not going to spin because I don't have, I'm sure that I can widget something, a device to make it spin. But what you want to do is you want to take this object and you want to copy it just to see how big it is. And then you want to make a slit. And I usually recommend, if you're making any kind of slits that you're going to be cutting, to make them all one unilateral color. And the color that I've chosen is this interesting kind of aquamarine kind of color, which you only see in the Seacons, which I'm sure I'll be making at one point in time. But for the time being, that's the slot that I'm using. So there we go. That's a slot that you slip it inside, and that's a slot that you put that in there. So then now the head, let's investigate his head. Notice he's got these, let's see, view image. Let's see, view image. Let's see the full image. He's got the little eye thing right here, the orange eye. He's got this little orange thing on the side. He's got this going on. He's got the centerpiece right here. So how are we going to, so we're going to take this away in order to play around with it. We're going to make it white so that way we can see what we're working with. And then we're going to start building shapes. So first we're going to build this eye shape going on right here. So I believe it is a square and 2 triangles. So then the question becomes, how do you make a triangle? Well, you can go to the Polygon tool. You can triple click. You can put 3 stars, 3 points, and that will give you a square. You can click on it. You can pick 3 sides, and there we go. You have your little triangle. And in order to shrink it, you select it with the black arrow tool. You shrink it like that, and then you twist it, and then you twist it like so, and there you've got your eye tool.